Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your 25th favorite dad in the family community, Jacob West, Papa West, and we are here for another late TV fight. Now, you can't really see outside my window, but it's dark outside. It means it's late, and that means we get to fight about TVs and whether it can be in the bedroom or not in the bedroom. Oh, wait. This is the wrong show for that. I am sorry, guys. We did not need to talk about that. This is TMG's late TV fight debate. This is the thing I'm in charge of. That's right. That's what this is. You can tell I haven't done this in a while. Got to get back in the swing of things. So, late TV fights. We have two people who are ready to take each other on. I'm going to start with them. Going to the bottom, we have the Orange Man himself, Chris Diaz, who is actually making his TMG debate.
Hello, welcome to me.
What the crap is that word? Alan, help me out. What's that word?
Debut.
Thank you. Yes.
Dubois.
Every single time we do this, I'm like, I always am about to say a word, completely forget what I'm about to say. Chris is making his debate debut. We did recently see him in the TMG Star Wars Trivia Exhibition, where he lost to Joe Fairley. Along with another very good-looking guy with a beard. I can't think of his name, though, but his initials are JW. Some cool guy, I know that, but I can't think of his name right now. But Chris, this is your first time debating. How are you feeling going into today?
Doing good. I feel good. I've been looking forward to it. And hey, I get to talk about one of my favorite shows that a lot of people think.
All right, and that's always good, being excited to be here. I like hearing people say that. And taking you on, I had to look deep down in the roster for someone perfect for you. And I found the glorified jobber himself. That's a callback. Mr. Carefree, Richard Schwartz. Richard, how are you doing today?
First of all, I'm surprised you remembered the glorified jobber. You weren't even in the league when I used that nickname, so props to you. Well, I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to do this. Hopefully to get my first win on the board, not to keep on losing. And unfortunately, I'm going to do my best, have fun, and drag through some of these questions because, there's one topic I just barely had to watch a week ago. It's not a great show, so we'll see how it goes.
Ooh, not a great show. Those are fighting words, but we'll get into the fight later on. Everyone at home, just some fun fan league history of the night. Richard's actual last match as the glorified jobber was my debut, where we battled it out in an Inner Geekdom division in a different league that we don't like to talk about. So we won't talk about the match that much, except that I did TKO him in my first ever match. We will not talk about that. So along with me, I have two other great judges here. I have Ruber, a.k.a. Amaru Mo. Ruber, a.k.a. Amaru Mo, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. Excited to get back into judging another debate. Excited that I now have another nickname, Amaru Mo. Haven't heard that one, but I like it. So add it to the long list of them. Thank you. Thank you, Papa West. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for. That's why they keep me around. And then last, but certainly not least, the only person in this group who has been to space, because I'm pretty sure hardly any of us have been out of the country, let alone anywhere else. So he's got one up on us. We have Dr. Spaceman, Alan Shepard. Alan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and might have to take another trip up there if all this craziness don't back down. You know what I mean? Only place you'll be safe, but they can't hear you scream. I'm excited to be here, excited to be judging. Always looking forward to these, so let's have some fun.
All right. Well, then, without further ado, let's get into this. For those of y'all watching at home, this is your first time watching late TV fights. Congratulations, you actually picked a decent time. We just got done with the championship tournament, road to a tournament, whatever you want to call it. So this is a great time to come in. But pretty much the way this works, we have 4 predetermined questions where these gentlemen got to pick answers, study for these answers. First person to 3 points wins. I know what you're thinking, Jacob. There are 4 questions, first to 3. What if one person gets 2 and the other person gets 2? No one gets to 3. Is that a tie? No, I do not believe in participation trophies. I throw them outside. Get that trash out of here. In the off chance that this does go past our 4th question, I do have a speedrun in mind. Speedrun, we'll talk about that later if we have to. But anyways, each question, we're going to break up into 3 rounds. The first round is a 90-second opener. Pretty much, this is where you get to tell us what your answer is, why that's your answer. Whatever else you want to do. It's your 90 seconds. Do whatever you want with it. Then we will open up into a 5-minute free-form debate. This is 5 minutes for you to form your debate freely. That's why it's called a free-form debate. The only thing we ask, we are all friends here. Please do not talk over each other. Please, no touching of the face, hair, or below the belt. If you do that, we'd have to talk to you because there's teleportation going on, which is not a viable thing right now. So I don't know what's going on there, but whenever you get rich from it, definitely share with me, please. I am poor. And then we will go into a 1-minute closing. This is your final 60 seconds to sell us on your argument. After that, we'll go to the judges. Me, Amaru, Alan, except they're the wrong way. Stupid StreamYard and mirroring. We will pick a winner. We will say why we have picked this winner, and we will give them the points. Again, first person to 3 points wins. And because my wife is amazing, we do have 2 rules here. The first is a timeout rule. Pretty much, if there's too much talking over each other during those 5 minutes, I cannot hear what's going on. Amaru and Alan cannot hear what's going on. I'm going to call for a timeout. I'm going to make you go sit in your rooms, close the door, think about your life decisions, and then we'll get back into it. This is 10 seconds that is taken off of the clock. So it's wasting time. Don't do it. And I have kids, and I work customer service and retail. My patience is at an all-time low right now. Do not test me. I will use it. And then the second rule is your 1-minute extension. As my wife, thankfully, is here to remind me of these things because I do forget sometimes. In either your opening or your closing, if you let me know, hey, Jacob, I want to use my 1-minute extension, we'll give you an extra 60 seconds. Do whatever you want with it. It's yours. The only thing is you have 1 use of the 4 questions, so use it wisely. With that, let's get into question number 1, which, of course, this is the thing I always forget, too. Each fighter gave me a TV show that they would wish to use as a strength. The first show is Chris's strength, which is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And the question is, what is the best original song featured in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend? Chris, this is your strength. This is also this is your debut. So we're going to be nice and let you go first. Chris, you have 90 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
Okay, when I look at best original song for any show, from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend Jeff, look at Death Over Digital Tracer, whether it was Tell Me Okay Patrick to I'm a Good Person. But I chose the song that is the most raw, emotional song in the show, and it is You Stupid Bitch, or the whole title is You Ruined Everything, You Stupid Bitch. It's the moment in the show, up to this point, Rebecca, we don't really know much about her. We sympathize her, but we feel distant. At this moment, she had a huge situation with Josh. She had her emotional point, and she finally revealed herself. When you see a best original song, you see a song that you can relate to and open up to. And that's what Your Stupid Bitch is. It's a song where anybody, like, you make a mistake, you feel wrong, and you feel important, like you made a mistake, and you want to hit yourself over it. And at the same time, it does have funny little stuff, like whether her saying, wait, or her getting the audience to sing with her. But it's a song that get referenced so much in the show that they use little thought and throughout the whole show. It's emotional, raw, inspirational. Featuring also an excellent performance from Rachel Bloom in the song. And that way, when I come to best original song, I think song that is emotional, funny, insightful, and everything put together. That's what Your Stupid Bitch is. And I will end it there because I got a lot more to say in the argument.
Okay. All right, that was your time, Chris. First off, I hate you.
Oh.
My wife wants me to quit cussing as much during these debates because, especially if I'm competing, I get really heated and some words come out of my mouth that are not meant to come out of my mouth. So for this question, we're going to refer to Chris's answer as "you stupid B word." I am, at least. I don't care what the rest of y'all do. My kids can't hear y'all. So, Chris, with "you stupid B word," Richard, 90 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
First off, My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is a dumbass show. I just started watching this a week ago. It is ridiculous. But every show has 2 or 3 original songs. It is a crazy premise of a girl who follows her ex-boyfriend after meeting 2 weeks of summer camp, after leaving a prestigious lawyer job in New York, just to try to get back with his ex-girlfriend, who they were only dating for like maybe a month or 2. However, there was one particular song in season 3 that was actually really good. It was called A Diagnosis. It takes place when Rachel finally decides that to try to seek help for her possible condition, and the doctor was possibly giving her a new diagnosis. And in the song, it is beautifully sung. It gives inspiration for that whole performance. She is happy. She is accepting. She's finally realizing that she may not be alone in her condition. And also, this song brings attention to people in real life who have mental problems, who have disabilities, who can finally possibly get a diagnosis. It can inspire them. It can bring hope. It can bring truly great things. And Diagnosis also is a very fun song. It's also funny, but it doesn't rely on funny. And I'm going to continue fighting out at the end during our fight. I can see my time.
All right. Well, you had no time to concede, so thank you for that, Richard. Also, if you're going to concede
I had 5
you
seconds.
had no. Did you not watch my countdown? Okay.
I saw you countdown.
If you're going to concede your time, please let me know as soon as you want to, so I don't look like an idiot going when there's nothing going on. Because I will keep counting until you say, "Hey, I'm done," or time runs out. So with that, we have Chris with "You Stupid B Word" and Richard with A Diagnosis. I got 5 minutes. I'm just going to let y'all fight it out. Time starts when y'all start talking.
Okay, you saying that the show is dumb. No, it's a show about dealing with mental illness. It's about dealing with, look at Rebecca's journey from when she started off the show, the depressed person, to the end of the show where she decided to. When you get to "you stupid B word" or "you stupid bitch," at the moment in the show when you start to realize that Rebecca is more than just this crazy person, this insane funny person. It shows her emotional energy, where it opened up to her where we never opened up to her. Which I know it's a good song. Don't get me wrong. It's more of a showboating song, more funny than at the same time. You're still a bit more emotional with few funny moments here and there, but the moment where
your song is majority funny. It's not. It takes away your song. The Stupid Bee takes away the sincerity because they use the B word constantly throughout that song, and also it speeds up the tempo when she's talking really fast, and it hinders from what happened during that end of that episode. It takes away. She even goes to a third she goes inside her own head, and it kind of takes place in a ballroom area, whereas A Diagnosis, it takes place in real time, even though obviously the people are
most of the show is mostly inside her head with a few sense of a few other character. And with your stupid bit, it's funny, don't get me wrong, but she let out stuff like she gave herself plenty of name off the top of her head, saying she did all these things, begging people to call her out for her stupidness, showing her vulnerability at that point in her life where she got lost Josh because of her stupid reckless decision about throwing the rock into the window. and she feels like she had her low point. And the song diagnosed it featured pretty much one time. Your stupid bit is featured throughout almost the whole show. You hear a little note here and there. You get a feature.
It started out throughout the whole show because they used the B word constantly. That's what makes it funny, and people love it because it was so funny. But it takes
when she feels abandoned, you hear again when
sorry. I was saying an original song does not have best original song does not mean that it has to get played over and over throughout the show. Best original song helps impact the world. It impacts people watching the show. It not only does it impact diagnosis, impact Rebecca, it has impact people across the world with mental illnesses who can't be cured. People finally have attention on them, that they realize they are not alone. And that is exactly what Rebecca was feeling at the moment she's singing a diagnosis. She realized she might not be alone. There might be other people like her. You Stupid Bee takes away, like, it's a fun song. There are moments where the song is beautiful, but at the time, the humor, the Super Bee, the fast tempo when she's doing the song, it takes away from the dramatic thing that happened in your episode.
But your diagnosis is also more of a showboating song. It feels nice and such. It doesn't have the more important part with the like when you see it, and anybody who loves Super Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, they will mention your stupid bit more than diagnosis. When you think about the original song, you have to sing a song that will inspire you, that bring out emotion, and bring you to a point where you say, "Hey, I've been in this situation." People have been in a situation where they've been at the low point where they're like, I'm the stupid person. Hell, I've been there. And that way it is. Rachel Bloom came out, and when she said she wrote this song, she was letting her soul out. She would judge her. But people came out to her many times saying, I can relate to this song.
Best original song does not have to do with the actress. The actress doesn't make a TV show for herself. She makes it for the people at home. Every people who I've seen on the YouTube, you had some time to talk. Let me talk. YouTube comments. Everyone praised the diagnosis.
They also praised your stupid bitch as well.
Who had no? A lot of people on the comment section of You Stupid Bee say it took away from the song because of the humor. Just because Rachel Bloom likes the song, the majority of the people who watch the show have voted Diagnosis as their favorite song because it helps relate to them. It helps hear them. And Diagnosis is perfectly. Diagnosis perfectly emphasizes what the whole show My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is about. Her psychological craziness of her following her ex-boyfriend. And this, at that moment for a diagnosis, finally came through, finally gave her a reason that there might be something not wrong with her. And that's what a best original song, something that impacts everyone.
Time. Oof. All right. Great first round. Now let's finish it. We have a 1 minute closing. Chris, since we started off with you, Richard, we are going to start with you on your 1 minute close. 60 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
A Diagnosis is the best original song in My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend because it not only defines what Rebecca Bloom was going through, what she possibly could finally find the reason why she's the way she is throughout the whole 3 seasons of her being on the show. But not only it's the best original TV show because it impacts people across the world. People praise the song because it's finally bringing attention of mental illness, that people who struggle with schizophrenia or other dysphagia or other mental illness finally feel like there's calls to attention to it, that they're finally being recognized. You Stupid Bee is, it's funny. It's a funny song, but it takes away the heart of that moment where she's going down on herself. She's in her own mind. It actually takes away of her pain because using the constant B word, doing the whole little rushy talking, it takes away from it. Diagnosis is a beautifully sung song. It helps people. And what you're going to hear more? A Diagnosis, a happy song, or a Stupid Bee reminds you of the constant?
Time. All right, Chris, close us out. You have a minute on the clock, and time starts when you start talking.
Okay. A Diagnosis is a good song, don't get me wrong. But when you think of best original song that people can relate to, that have raw emotion, everything, Your Stupid Bit is the anthem of the show. It's the song that finally let her into Rebecca's mind. Yet, Rebecca's whole point of her show is a lot of the song in her head, but the moment where she let her vulnerability out. Diagnosed it at the end of the journey. Your Stupid Bit at the beginning of the journey. Rachel Bloom said that. Rachel Bloom said that she wrote this song to talk about her depression, what she went through as a child. Diagnosed to feel more visceral, but emotional too, where Your Stupid Bit is more emotional. Like everything. When people think of a song for Crazy they think of Your Stupid Bit. They think of where we've been in our life, where we say, hey, I'm a stupid bitch. I should have done better, should have done this. And by the way, for season, she was dealing with personality.
Time. All right. Great first round so far. Let's get that question out of there because we don't need that anymore. It is time for... Get some water, Chris. It is time for the judging round. So, Amaru, I'm going to start off with you. Please tell me who gets your point and why does that person get your point?
This was definitely a great first round, gentlemen. In that, for the opening, I had it with Chris. At the opening, he gave me a lot more reasons why, so I wanted to hear what was going on during those 5 minutes. And Richard came back with a lot of good counters. Really liked Richard, how you said that the funniness or the humor was a little bit way too much and kind of took away from the message. But Chris also kind of countered back with a lot of different reasons why that would work. So for me, it really came down to the closing. And the point for me goes to the person who I think was able to come up with a lot of different arguments of why theirs was better, why theirs was more impactful. So for me, my point goes to Chris.
All right, Chris getting the first vote. Alan, we are moving on to you. Who gets your point and why?
All right. Now, I'm a little disappointed none of y'all sang the actual song. I'm not gonna lie. We're talking about songs, and nobody's sang out here. So it was a good argument. Good arguments. I'm not familiar with either song, and I wanted to hear really about how the song affected the show, the characters, and I think Chris kind of nailed it with the way he described the song and the characters and how impactful it was for the show itself. I think Richard did a good job with counterbalancing, but he didn't tell me enough about his song and how impactful it was for the characters. I heard more why the other song, Chris's, was so impactful to the show, to the characters. So I'm going to go with Chris, too.
All right. So with that, Chris, you get the first point. For me personally, because my vote doesn't matter and I love my own opinion, I was kind of leaning towards Richard. Alan, you made that comment of, what the show did for, or what the song did for the show. And Chris, did a great job with saying, they had it, throughout the entire series. But Richard had a great counter with that, whereas, you just had that little snippet that doesn't make it the best original song. And if you look at Diagnosis, what that did, bringing in mental illness into the eye of everyone watching. I was leaning towards Richard on that one. But again, that's why we have 3 people and not just me. So with that, Chris, again, taking a 1-0 lead. Now let's get on into question number 2.
Good job,
if you know anything if you know anything about Richard, he loves his Arrowverse. So of course he decided to go with the Flash TV show for his strength. And for question number 2 is, in the Flash series, which version of Harrison Wells would make the best friend? Chris, since we start off with you on the last one, Richard, this is your strength. You get to go first. You have 90 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
what makes a best friend? A best friend is someone you can rely on, someone who you can talk to, someone who can challenge you to make you a better person, someone who you can challenge them to make them a better person, someone who can help confide to when you need to the most. So there's only one logical answer of which Wells would make the best friend, and that is Harry Wells from Earth 2. Harry Wells was at first, he was a man who cared deeply about his daughter. Zoom kidnapped his daughter and forced Harry to go to Earth 1 to help him steal Barry's speed. But Harry did not do that. He eventually became best friends with Barry Allen, best friends with Cisco Ramon. He has helped Team Flash through their toughest moments, through their saddest moments. He gave up his intelligence for Barry Allen, for Team Flash. And I think Harry Wells is the best friend because not only is he intellectually smart, he is loving, he is caring, he cares about the people. He would die for his friends, he would die for his daughter, and that is something in a best friend you need, a trait, someone who will be there for you no matter what. And I concede the rest of my time.
All right, conceding the rest of his time. Chris, we are moving on to you. 1 minute, 30 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
Okay, when you see a best friend, you see someone who cares for you, really put his lines on the line for you, who will encourage you when you're at your lowest moment, and that is Harrison H.R. Wells. At first, he was a comment came to the Flash universe because he was trying to shake his debt to the other Earth system. But he's someone who grew on the team. He encouraged Wally to become Kid Flash when everybody was putting him down. He even sacrificed his life on the line to say I wish to beat Savitar, where it's something that any friend you would want would have. He's funny, he's kind, he's helpful, he's everything a best friend to do, and he's not negative, he's not stereotypical, he doesn't criticize you, he gave you hope. That's what I look for a best friend, someone who I know would have my back no matter what, who would give me good advice, even put his life on the line. And that's what I consider a best friend. And I would concede my point because I have a lot to say in this song.
All right, conceding you at 30 seconds left. So now we are moving on to the 5 minutes. 5 minutes to battle it out to find out who is the better best friend. And we need to choose wisely because I am in need of a best friend right now. So I will be contacting whoever we find the winner. No pressure. 5 minutes on the clock. Time starts. Time starts when someone starts talking.
Okay. I love Harry, and I do. But he is a cynical asshole who will do anything, give you criticism that are hurtful and mean and etc. When you say that he helped Barry against DeVoe, no. He put the machine on because he wanted to be better than DeVoe. And he lost his challenge in doing that. So he put himself first in order. Harrison sacrificed his life for Iris in front of Avatar. He encouraged Wally where everybody was putting him down, and Wally became a much better person in the process. And he managed to help the team process. If he wasn't there, Iris would be dead, Barry would still be Avatar. Wally would not be who he is as we know him now. That is what best friends do. I would rather have a fun, loving Harrison than an asshole Harry who would criticize every moment I do, make me feel so depressed and down that I won't want to do anything.
All right. First off, H.R. Wells, when he first came in to Earth 1, he came in as false pretenses. He wasn't smart. He lied to everyone about why his real task was to begin there. And he only helped Wally to suit his own ego, to show him how useful he could be. It wasn't because he wanted to help Wally, because he wanted to show teams that he's actually useful. He really isn't useful. He doesn't do anything for the team. He's just there to be like, so we're going to do. If he sacrificed his life because he made the biggest mistake of telling Savitar where Iris was. And where did the Team Flash send Iris when Savitar was roaming around? He sent it to Earth 2, where Harry was, because they trust Harry with Iris's life. They trust Harry more than HR with his life. HR gave up the location of Iris West. If he didn't do that, he would probably still be alive today. Harrison Wells.
But Indiana only up to a mistake and sacrificing his life. Harry,
Okay, if it wasn't for Harry, first of all, if it wasn't for Harry Wells,
Harry is a cynical
HR
asshole.
wouldn't even.
You
Hey, no,
cannot
you've been
call
talking a
that
lot. You
friend
need to give me
a
some
cynical-
time to talk.
Wait,
HR, the only reason HR was even on Team Flash is because Harry was the one who suggested to find another Wells for Team Flash while Harry went to go help his daughter with his situation. If it wasn't for Harry, HR would never have sacrificed his life to become a better person. HR was always selfish. He always took people's credit. His own best friend from his own Earth let him go to Earth 1 because he wanted to get rid of him.
and he owned up to his mistake. At the end of the day, when you see a friend, if someone would put his life on the line despite his own self-interest, that's what a good friend do. Harry is a cynical asshole who sue his own name sometimes. When we talk about DeVoe, he decided to put on that machine because he wanted to be better than DeVoe. He didn't see on the team. He wanted to beat DeVoe at his own game. He also treats Sisto as crap. Treat Barry like crap.
He
So
put
many
the helmet on
times-
DeVoe to help Team Flash. That's the
Yeah.
reason why he put the helmet on, to help Team Flash. Yes, sometimes he has an ego. Who doesn't have an ego once in a while? When someone tells you you're not good enough or not smart enough, everyone in the world has that type of ego.
But
No
everybody
one.
told him not to, but he still decided to put on the machine.
Harry-
Despite what his friend told him.
Harry had his daughter kidnapped from Zoom, the person he loved the most. If it was anyone who had a family member, a daughter, a father, best friend, family member who you love, and they wanted you to kill the Flash to save your daughter's life, you would do it. We all would do it. Harrison did not do it. He essentially gave his daughter to death because he loved Team Flash so much that he did the right thing. HR would never have done that in a million years. He would have helped Team Flash. He would have done anything he wanted to kill Flash. HR has always been about him. If it wasn't for Harry Wells, HR would still be the con man today. He would still be taking other people's credit. He's there for funny. He's a casual. Hey, I'm good. I'm a chill guy. But that's not what.
Who love you for who you are and be funny and would put his life on the line rather than a cynical asshole who would do his own self-interest and then also.
He's not a cynical asshole. He's just very smart. And I'm sorry, in a best friend, who do you want? Someone who's chill back or someone who challenges you to become a better person? That's what Harry does. Yeah, he's cold at first, but when you become their best friend, as a best friend, he opens up. He becomes loving and caring. HR is just there. He doesn't contribute to anything. He's just really laid back, drinking his coffee, hitting the drumstick.
HR wasn't there, Wally would have been who he is. Everybody would constantly putting Wally down, and HR helped stand in.
Time. All right, let's get into our 1 minute closing. Richard, we start off with you. So, Chris, you are going to start off the closings with 1 minute on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
Okay, let me just get this all straight. I love Harry to death, I do. But when I think of best friend, I think of people who would be there for me. People who would put his life on the line. People who would give me comfort and encourage me. That much HR is. He's someone, yes, he is a con man. Yes, in the beginning, he was doing his own selfish thing. But in the end, he helped Wally become Kid Flash. Everybody was putting him down. And he said, to help you out. He helped him become better. He gave encouragement. Even at stupid decisions someday. He sacrificed life for Ivan despite this mistake he made. In the end, he ended up being a good person. And that's what best friend is. You need someone who will help you. Harry is just a cynical asshole. Yes, he cares about his daughter. But when I think of a moment that made me agitated, I think of the DeVoe moment. I think when he first came. Like, it's just, he one of the people you rather punch in the face than be friends with. And that one I don't want in a friend. I want someone to punch and hug.
Time.
Whew.
Okay, Chris, I had to tell this to Alan and Richard. You can learn this too. When I say time, that means shut up. No, I'm kidding. I'm only mean on the internet, not in person. All right, Richard, a minute on the clock to close out this question. Time starts when you start talking.
My opponent's main argument against Harry Wells is that he's a cynical asshole. He's not a cynical asshole. we all become assholes sometimes. We all think we're smarter than everyone else. Harry Wells has always used his intelligence for the greater good, for humanity, for Team Flash. He gave up his intelligence for Team Flash. Yes, he wanted to prove he was smarter than DeVoe, but only to help Team Flash. He became essential. When Iris was in the face of death against Savitar, they sent Iris to Harry Wells to Earth 2 because Team Flash trusts Harry the most. They love him. When all the Wells got erased existence, they don't bring up H.R. Wells, who they missed. They bring up Harry Wells. H.R. was a con man. He was always his best friend from his own Earth. Got rid of him because he did not like him. If it wasn't for Harry Wells, H.R. would never have the redemption story. When you choose someone as a best friend, is someone who you trust and love the most, that's Harry Wells, because H.R. will just accidentally give Iris
time. All right, another great round as we move into the judging phase. Alan, we are going to start off with you on this one. Please tell me who gets your point, and please tell me why.
Well, first of all, I love this question because Flash is really the only superhero show that I still haven't seen all of it, but I've seen the seasons that both these characters were in, and I really enjoyed. And Tom Cavanaugh, one of the better actors, my man Ed from back in the day. But I love the fact that you guys brought up very specific things that each one of these characters did. Chris, you were dead on, spot on with, Harry was more interested in his wanting to prove himself better than DeVoe. But Richard had a great counter to that, and how Harry grew as a character and his love and what he was willing to do for the team. And HR was really more fun-loving and not really, even though he did give up his life, he wasn't really, his heart wasn't in it. And I think Richard's point of somebody to push you, to make you better, to not always just have your back and say, good boy, good guy, or a good person, somebody who challenges you, which is what Harry did, and ultimately regained the trust. And as a best friend, that's the kind of person that you want. So I'm going to give it to Richard.
All right, with that, Richard getting the first vote as we move on to me, and I'm leaning the same way as Alan. I'm also giving my point to Richard on this one. I love how in the first question we tried to keep it pretty clean by listening to me and calling it "you stupid B word," and then Chris, you had to call Harry a scheming asshole 4 or 5 times, something like that. Come on, man. This is a family show. We don't want to lose our monetization. Come on. But no, I feel that was your biggest counter against Earth 2's Harrison Wells, and Richard did a great job countering it. And I love the comment that you made, Richard, about who do you want as a best friend, someone who's chill or someone who's going to push you to be better. When I'm listening to the debates, I always think of, hey, if I was in your shoes, or if I was in the shoes, this would be my points. And that was like the first thing I had in mind. Hey, if this was me, this is the point that I would bring up. So Richard, that's definitely some bonus points in my personal book for bringing up that point, which normally doesn't mean anything. Thankfully for this one, it does. So with that, Richard is taking question number 2. But because I love my opinion, oh wait, I already gave my opinion. Amaru, going to you. Who would have gotten your points had we have gone that way?
So unlike Alan, I have not watched one episode of this show. Only on Crisis have I watched. So I went straight on what these two gentlemen said, and I did like both of their presentations of what a best friend is. But like Alan, like Papa West, Richard kept coming with counter arguments that seemed to hit harder. Specifically, the person who challenged you, as well as who did they send Iris to in order to keep her safe? The Richard's choice. So a lot of the counters hit back harder for me, so I also would have gone with Richard.
All right. And that would have been a clean sweep, which doesn't mean anything special, Richard. I'm sorry. No bonus points for you. All right. Now, as we move on to question number 3, and before I get into it, or actually, I'm going to go ahead and say it, and then I have a little clarification. So, question number 3: after the success of The Witcher, what should be Netflix's next video game adaptation TV series? And I know there are a ton of nerds watching this that just crap themselves. Jacob, The Witcher's a book first, and then it was a video game. How do you not know that? Well, what book should be adapted is a lot more broad, whereas what video game, we haven't seen a lot of video game TV shows. So I'm the question writer. I don't care what you think. If you have a problem with it, too bad. I don't care. I make the questions. I thought this would be better anyways. So with that, Chris, we are starting off with you. You have 90 seconds on the clock, and time starts when you start talking.
When it comes to great video game adaptation, we don't get a lot of good video game adaptation. To say that it sucks. But when I think of video game adaptation, I think of one series, one that come into my mind when I think of like, would you kindly bring to go, wipe away your death? And it's Bioshock. Bioshock is this game that have two worlds, Ratchet and Columbia. And it's a world full of wonder. There's mythology to it. There Would You Kindly, there's Booker, there's Elizabeth, there's Tear to open other world that will lead to other great TV shows. And we have a world where you can go so much with the world and make it kind of like Game of Thrones or Westworld. Just go with it. You don't need to base off the video game. Don't have your word Bioshock. Infinite allowed idea of open world, anywhere, whether it's sea, volcano, underwater, anything. When I say a video game that been trying to do it for years, they've attempt to bring Bioshock to the big screen. I think TV reviewers do it better way, even like mini-series or TV alone. When you get, especially you get people like the Game of Thrones behind them. And you have memorable characters like the Big Daddy, Songbird, Elizabeth, Booker, Jack Ryan, Atlas, the little sister, Tannenbaum, and everything. You will want a world that you feel wondering. Like seeing Big Daddy on the big screen would be a sight behold, even for Netflix. To take it to the next, to be it, the next Game of Thrones. And that's what I would like a video game, to take the next step forward. Ever can see my point.
All right. And with that, Chris picking Bioshock. So, Richard, would you kindly use your next minute 30 seconds? Chris got it. For those who do not understand, that is a Bioshock joke. Amaru got it.
Read the argument and wait for where you depth.
All right, Richard, you have 90 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
The year was 1911. In the American frontier, one former outlaw named James Marston was just living on a ranch with his family when the government kidnaps his wife and family and forces him to work for them to get rid of all of his gang members in the face so they can be reunited once again. The video game I am choosing is Red Dead Redemption. Why this would make the best TV show is because, first of all, Westerns are making a comeback. People loved the miniseries Godless on Netflix. It did really well. People love the movie, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Everyone loves Quentin Tarantino movies, which is basically modern-day Western. Red Dead Redemption can focus on this character for multiple seasons. It's a very lengthy game. You can do multiple seasons with even just the first video game. There's the second video game, but you don't even have to keep on going in the video game. There's so much you can do in Red Dead Redemption. There's so much you can explore in this world. Westerns are not that cost efficient either. And that's one of the best things Netflix needs right now, is a TV show that can last a long time and that won't cost as much money. And I think Red Dead Redemption has a great story to tell. Fans will be interested in the story. It would give love to Westerns once again, because who doesn't love a good Western? Quentin Tarantino sure does, and I concede the rest of my time.
All right, conceding the rest of his time. We have Bioshock. We have Red Dead Redemption. We have 5 minutes on the clock for y'all two to battle it out. And just like every other one, time starts when none of y'all starts talking.
Okay. Even though you think Red Dead Redemption 2, I just needed a point, but we already got Western show. We got Westworld. We had Godless on Netflix. That was the Western show. We had yet to have something like Bioshock come into our life. Bioshock write a clean world, and you should do it many seasons, and do a different world each season. With Columbia, a Ratchet, and you don't even have a budget. When you look at something like Lost in Space, or even like Richard, they dumb down the budget, that they still make it like you're living in a world. And who wouldn't want to see like Songbird? And even characters like Book into Elizabeth, like the father and daughter, right, where you don't know to the end, the relationship, and them help each other out. Such a unique relationship. Remember Jack Martin? Yeah, he's a good character, but I like the Red Dead Redemption 2 storyline better. You would argue Red Dead Redemption 2 would argue, give you that. But you had to look at the stuff like, where should we take the next step? After Game of Thrones, after show like Spartacus, after show like Richard, where would the next step be? That would be Bioshock. There's so much mythology and lore, and people will want to step in the world. See something you've never seen before. Especially something like Big Daddy, something like Little Sister. And the twist and turn.
Okay, I'm going to stop you real quick so I can have some time to talk, please. Bioshock, it would cost way too much money for Netflix. Netflix is on right now on the decline. Things like Amazon Prime is taking them out. Disney Plus is taking them out. Hulu is taking them out. Netflix right now doesn't have the budget for a Bioshock TV show because of the fact Altered Carbon is one of their most expensive TV shows right now on Netflix, and it's still going on. Stranger Things is doing a lot of their money. Lost in Space, you just said, if you want Bioshock, it would probably be best be on HBO Max or Amazon Prime, where they have the funds to do it. But most importantly, Bioshock, it's better fit for the movies than it is for a television show. Red Dead Redemption has a lot of story in its TV show that it can prolong. It can be a great TV show. And you saying Red Dead Redemption 2, it can absolutely be part of that as well. That's the latest season, Red Dead Redemption 2.
One more than the second one. That's what you did to start your argument.
I chose the first one because the first one came out. It's called Red Dead Redemption, not Red Dead Redemption 2 is the sequel.
Like, just what you would argue the second one. The second one had more story to it. Bioshock have a lot of story to it. And you just have a small budget. When you look at something like Rapture itself, it's not that big of a budget, especially you see like the second one.
Okay.
A small story within the universe that doesn't have a lot of explosive battle. Red Dead Redemption.
If you don't have a huge budget for Bioshock, then don't do it. Sorry, go on. I'll let you.
And it's called Deadwood. It's called Westworld. It's called Goblet. Like we have enough Western to our life. Bioshock had.
And we have enough post-apocalyptic TV shows. We have The Walking Dead. You have Lost in Space. You mentioned a thousand times. Star Trek, Star Wars.
Yeah, but Bioshock deal with the idea of morality, whether it the lower class versus upper class, right? Religion, ideology, and all of this that you don't usually see in TV show. And when you have like the twist of what you kind of love, right?
Supernatural, Game of Thrones.
But that what Netflix
Reign has a lot of religion.
The next show that to bring in the viewer.
Okay, Bioshock, you're talking about the small budget. You say Bioshock could have a small budget? No, it cannot. Diehard fans of the Bioshock would not want a low budget. Chris, you've been talking a lot. You have to give me some time to talk as well.
All right.
Bioshock needs a big budget. It's perfect for movies. It is not good for a low budget. And first of all, Bioshock is only Xbox exclusive. You're going to take a huge fan base because the majority of people, there's always been that conflict with Xbox and PlayStation. Bioshock is a Microsoft Xbox exclusive game. That means you're not going to get a good audience. Red Dead is for both.
PlayStation game as well, so don't you?
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, but Bioshock had more to it. Like Red Dead Redemption, like a lot of the game is like side missions, like just don't get sidelined by pointless tasks and stuff. Like you're talking about, like I say, you're talking about the second one, the more story to it. When you think of Bioshock, there's a lot to explore, and it's like you don't have to make it super expensive. Like Bioshock Infinite opened the world up to where you could go anywhere, even a lower budget thing. Like allow it to do something like that. Along you had the idea of a man, a city, an idea. That was the idea they sat down in the Bioshock Infinite. And I can see my point because I need to take a breather for a moment.
Chris, you cannot concede during the 5 minutes because that is both of y'all's.
Which I take
Just
it
to
back
let
that
you
way.
know.
Actually.
All right, so we are moving on to the minute closing. Richard, you are starting us off with this. You have 1 minute on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
Red Dead Redemption is the best video game to be based on a TV show because there is a lot more Netflix can do with Red Dead Redemption than there is with BioShock. Red Dead Redemption, it will be cost efficient. It will last a long time. It has a great story, John Marston and his family. You can do 2 or 3 seasons of that storyline alone. Then you can go to Red Dead Redemption 2 for another 3 or 4 seasons. Bring back James Marston as well. BioShock is a fun game. People love it, but it's an Xbox exclusive game. There's not a huge fan base. There's a good fan base, but Red Dead Redemption is both for PlayStation and Xbox and other systems, so you'll have more people going in. BioShock is better fit for movies or HBO Max or Amazon Prime that can handle that kind of budget. BioShock cannot do a low budget TV series. Fans would be upset because they want BioShock to be how it was for the video game aspects. And also, they've been done to death. Star Trek, Star World, Walking Dead, post-apocalyptic world have been done to death. Westerns are making a comeback, and they think it's the best time in Red Dead Redemption. Boom.
Boom.
Okay.
All right, Chris. Chris, you have 1 minute on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
Red Dead Redemption is a good game, don't get me wrong. But when you say that BioShock is an Xbox exclusive, let me remind you, it's also a PlayStation game. Well, I have it on the PS4 in the back. But when you see a game like Netflix looking to take the next step, and look at Richard, a great series. People would have been upset didn't have budget, but they kept it small. BioShock Infinite, the more recent BioShock game, open one where you don't need a small budget. Like Red Dead Redemption been done to death with Deadwood, Goblet, Westworld. And they're looking for next step, something that will main video game. People want to see Big Daddy, Little Sister, Fawnbird, Elizabeth Brooker come to life. They also wouldn't mind a small story. You should set the role in Ratchet before the fall of Ratchet and after the fall of Ratchet. You introduce the characters like Jack Ryan, like Atlas, and everybody. And then the next thing you should go into Columbia before the event when Red Brooker was and at the event and everything. Imagine seeing the world to the up close. That was so video.
Time. All right. Another great round. Man, these are some good questions. Whoever wrote these questions did a fantastic job.
Thank you for giving me challenging one.
They should get a raise or something. So with that, moving on to the judging phase, I am going to go ahead and go first. And Richard, I do want to fact check you on something, which is going to require me to share my screen. Let me pull
The
it up real
BioShock eventually
quick.
got downloaded to the PlayStation, but when it first came out, it was Xbox exclusive. That was fact.
Okay. But it is still playable on...
It's playable
BioShock
now on
Infinite
PlayStation,
PS3.
yes, but I'm talking about when it first came out.
I have it
That
on
I'm
the
aware.
fun.
Okay. But thankfully that point does not sway my argument at all. See, this is a great question because it's a two-part question. If the question was just what should be the next video game adapted into a TV show, I feel this would have been a lot closer. Y'all both did a great job on explaining why they should be adapted into a TV show. But the second part is Netflix is the one doing it. And I only heard one person counter say why their show is best suited for Netflix, but then also say why the other person's show does not work on Netflix itself. And that would be Richard. And again, I also have to agree with Richard, too, in saying BioShock can't be low budget. Because with BioShock, it has to be Rapture, at least starting out. And underwater is going to be expensive. I mean, look at Aquaman. If it's not high budget, it's not going to be good. And you're going to have people Riot, which is exactly what Richard said. So what I am giving my point to Richard on this one. Amaru, we are moving on to you. Who gets your point and why?
So for a good amount of this debate, I thought Chris was doing extremely well, countering Richard's points, especially around Westerns being just so redundant and where you could go everywhere with Bioshock and how there are different ways you can do it. But once Richard said fans would riot if it was a low budget Bioshock, I did not hear anything Chris said. And I was like, give me something in that closing. Give me something that will go against why would be low budget would be great. And like you, Jacob, it's the Netflix part of the debate that got it for me. It usually doesn't. The money part usually doesn't, but I couldn't ignore it this time, especially when Richard said the fans would riot with the low budget Bioshock. So great debate, both of you, but I'm also giving this one to Richard.
All right, and with that, Richard takes a 2-1 lead. Alan, because I love hearing you talk, who would have gotten your points?
I actually was going to give it to Chris because budgets aside, I think there's creative ways to make it look however fans expect it to look. And I think, quite frankly, a lot of studios, regardless of, budgetary, I think they need to be more creative with their special effects, with their creating characters, with their uses of prosthetics and things like that. So the budget thing I wasn't really focused too much on. Chris gave me more specifics why this game specifically. I've played Red Dead Redemption. I haven't played BioShock, but I know about more of the characters and what happens with BioShock based off Chris' descriptions than I do Richard's from his description of Red Dead Redemption. The only thing I got specifically was it was a Western about a guy. Well, that's 90% of all Westerns. So I think Chris hit him hard with that. It's redundant with Westerns. So I would have gone with Chris, but my opinion don't count anyway. So congratulations, Richard.
And again, that's why we have 3 judges. So with that, we are moving on to question number 4. Richard, if you get this one, you win the game. Chris, this is your last chance to keep it going. What is the most iconic game show of all time? Richard, you are starting us off. 1 minute, 30 seconds. Time starts when you start talking.
What is the most iconic game show of all time? Survey says, ding, Family Feud. That is right, I am choosing Family Feud. It's debuted in 1976. It has had 6 amazing hosts in Family Feud throughout the decade, throughout the time it aired. It had Richard Dawson, one of the most charismatic hosts of all time, Ray Combs, Louis Anderson, Richard Carnes, John O'Reilly, and of course, everyone's favorite right now, Steve Harvey. Family Feud is iconic for multiple reasons. It is engaging for all audiences, adults and kids alike. It's a game show where families get to work together to take on other families to win cash and possibly a brand new car if they win 5 days in a row. Family Feud has had amazing, fantastic, funny moments, great comebacks, great fails, and I'm going to talk way more about this when we come to our 5-minute fighting. It's going to be so much fun. Dun-dun-dun. I can see my time. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. And I can see the time.
And there goes our monetization. Thank you for that, Richard. All right, Chris, we're moving on to you with your 90-second opening. And again, time starts when you start talking.
When you think of iconic game show all time, you think of Jeopardy. You think of Alan Tudyk. You think of the meme. You think of stuff that started Saturday Night Live with Black Jeopardy. Like, it's iconic because it gave you some of the most weirdest name you ever heard. Did you ever hear Geppetto mentioned in any other game show until Jeopardy? You hear like Bobby Flop with carrying music and other stuff. But all thanks to the fabulous whole Alan Tudyk. He made you feel warm inside. He made you feel at home. And you get funny answers. You get light. You laugh at stuff that you forget. That when I think of game show, I think, of Jeopardy. Been running since like 1965 for a long time. It's switched over to the end, but still continue on today. All day to Alan Tudyk. And without him, the show more is it. And when you see a host that you would remember to all time, Alan Tudyk, you see a Jeopardy. You see what it gave to us. You see what it spawned later on with Saturday Night Live with Brad Teddy. You see all of the other shows. You see a meme you get today. And I do concede right now because I need to breathe this.
All right. And Chris conceding the rest of his time. So we have Family Feud. I should write that down. Versus Jeopardy. This would require me to know how to spell Jeopardy. All right. We have 5 minutes for y'all to fight it out. Time starts when someone starts talking.
Okay, let me ask you something, Chris. What was the name of the original host of Jeopardy? Who did Alex Trebek take over? Jeopardy ran 15 years before Alex Trebek ever did, and the name is Art Fleming. Jeopardy. There have been trivia shows like this before Jeopardy even happened. There was nothing like Family Feud when this game show started. Family Feud was its original concept where families came together on a game show to compete against other families. People will remember Family Feud way more past Jeopardy's because of the funny fails that people have given throughout the years. The people wrong answer, the survey is not. Game shows shouldn't necessarily be about trivia. It should be about challenges, experiences. Like there's people surveying. It's fantastic.
But at the same time, Jeopardy is a game that, while it's trivia, also leads to funniness. It like I say,
it doesn't lead to funniness. Give me an example of how Jeopardy led to funniness.
Like, rather than bring up stuff like Geppetto, rather than bring up Robbie's life, they bring up random stuff that you forget and make you laugh when you think about it. And Alan Tudyk and our family make it memorable. And a game that lasts a long time. Yes, it changed hosts. Yes, it ended. But when I think a meme that I think on Facebook today, I think more meme about Jeopardy. I think the Saturday Night Live is Black Jeopardy. I think everything Jeopardy brought to
Saturday Night Live has also done Family Feud. Late TV shows also have done Family Feud. TV shows have had Family Feud in it. But funny thing about Jeopardy was Black Jeopardy.
Not that famous Black Jeopardy. People remember Black Jeopardy more than the joke on Family Feud. Like we mentioned before with Tom Hanks and other celebrities that remember Jeopardy. Well, Alan Tudyk show with Family Feud changed hosts, and it's still the host is still the thing we would usually get. Alan Tudyk and brought Jeopardy into our life and make it memorable as it is today. Al Henderson you could put anybody as a host, and it would have changed the difference.
We're not talking about which game show is better. We're talking about what is the most iconic game show. What's going to last throughout the decade? If both Jeopardy and Family Feud were to be canceled today, if you're going to look up best moments in game show history, what's going to pop up first? Family Feud or Jeopardy? It's going to be Family Feud because you're going to have some of the funniest answers. For example, I'll give one for the speed round. It was what occurs during a summer storm? Someone said snow. That is one of the funniest answers of all time. Name a yellow fruit. Someone said orange. You remember the most epic fails? Jeopardy, it's great for trivia wise, but not everyone's smart enough to be on Jeopardy. Everyone can be on Family Feud. Everyone's going to remember. Kids and adults will like Family Feud a lot more than Jeopardy. Kids are not going to get into Jeopardy. They're not going to be into it.
Family Feud is just something that is fun, but not iconic. Jeopardy is more iconic, and it's more fun. It's more.
How is it more iconic than Family Feud?
Because of the meme, because of the question that answer people give.
Family Feuds have memes too, but the memes of Family Feud are from actual contestants, what happened on the show. That's its own meme.
Yeah. But that's nothing. When you look on like meme today, you see more meme for Jeopardy than Family Feud. You think of everything Jeopardy brought to and all day challenge to it. And that's like Family Feud is just like the same thing. Jeopardy can be different, can be funny, and it's Alan Tudyk. the show and not to think. It's a fun show from start to finish.
Jeopardy can be funny, yes. Family Feud's always funny. There's always moments. The best thing about Jeopardy is the host and the theme song. Best thing about Family Feud has been multiple hosts. Richard Dawson was considered one of the best hosts of all time. Steve Harvey is considered the best host as of right now, beating Alex Trebek. There was moments, you remember everything Survey says? Everyone knows that. No one may not know Jeopardy. Not everyone will watch Jeopardy. Contestants always have a good time on the show. Fans get involved with Family Feud. Jeopardy, the fans don't get involved. They're sitting there quiet, engaging. You're going to remember all the epic fails in Family Feuds because there's hardly any fails in Jeopardy because either you know it or you don't. There have been trivia shows before Jeopardy. There are trivia shows like this now, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Press Your Luck, 1 versus 100. There hasn't been a show like Family Feud in a long time, or ever.
Time. All right, we are moving on to the 1 minute closing. Chris, we are starting off with you. This is do or die, a minute on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
Okay, we talk about more iconic game show. And that's Jeopardy. Jeopardy is with the music, whether it's Ellen Tudor, whether it's the random answer you would never hear in a million, Geppetto! Carrying the music of Broadway flop, everything it brings. And it also inspired Brass Jeopardy. Brass Jeopardy, we never had a funny night at Brass Jeopardy. We talk about our kind of, not what it's fun. Iconic. The mean it to provide. The bizarre answer we get. Like that what makes Jeopardy as special as it is. Whole day to the warm and Ellen Tudor. And I want to turn on the TV now. I would turn on Jeopardy more than Family Feud because of Ellen Tudor. Because of the theme song, because of random contestants, because of crazy answers it brings. Everything it brings to the table. And it also made me go watch Saturday Night Live with Brass Jeopardy. And Family Feud is just a fun show. That's what it is. It's something I would play for laugh. Not something I would watch every week.
Time. Richard.
I will be using
do or
my
die.
minute extension.
You will be using your 1 minute extension. You have 2 minutes on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
First of all, my opponent keeps on saying Alan Tudyk as a host. It's Alex Trebek. So I'm just going to clear that up. Family Feud is way more iconic for multiple reasons. Because one, the best thing about Family Feud have been the hosts, Richard Dawson, Steve Harvey. But more importantly, it is the family, the contestants on the show are the best part. They're the most memorable part. Because you either give them a really great answer, really great comeback in the final speed round of Family Feud, or they give the most ridiculous epic fail that has lasted throughout the decade, throughout time. Jeopardy, you either know the question or you don't. Jeopardy's fun for intellectual purposes, but not everyone will watch the show. Kids will not watch Jeopardy because it's really boring. The fans are really quiet. It's not as engaging as Family Feud. Family Feud has the audience involved, they're engaged, the contestants are having a great time with their family. Family Feud is one of a kind game show. There hasn't been a game show like this in a long time. There have been a million trivia shows like Jeopardy throughout. The only thing iconic about Jeopardy is Alex Trebek and the theme song. My opponent could not even mention the original host or how long. I have mentioned multiple hosts, and when you're going to look up what's going to last for the time, best moments in a game show, Family Feud will be there multiple times. You might have 1 or 2 at Jeopardy, if that. But Wheel of Fortune would have been the better choice other than Jeopardy. But Family Feud is the more iconic because people remember the failures, the funny answers more than they do about who won which trivia game show because there's been a bunch of them. Family Feud survey, which is the best game show of all time, most iconic game show of all time. Survey says Family Feud. And I don't even need the rest of my time. I'm conceding.
Well, you had 10 seconds on there that you don't think you needed. Let's see how that pays off. Amaru, we are starting off with you in the judging. Please tell me who gets your point and why do they get your point?
First and foremost, I take all the offense in the words uttered that Steve Harvey is a better host than Alex Trebek. You put respect on that man's name. But with that, I am gonna say, even though I disagree, I'm gonna have to say that unfortunately Richard did take this one for me. He had the points, he had the counter arguments, and he was able to relay those with a lot more confidence to me on this round than Chris did. So I'm giving it to Richard.
Richard getting the first point. Alan, we are moving on to you. Who gets your points and why?
This was a good arguments, both sides, but Richard did get just more specifics. More specifics. I think, Chris, if you would have brought a little bit more counters to his, your last line was actually your best when you said, his show was just fun and that was it. But he had laid out in the 5 minutes multiple reasons why his show was the more iconic of it. So I'm going to go with Richard as well.
And with that, and your winner, Mr. Carefree himself, Richard Schwartz. Going on, for my opinion, because I love my opinion. Had it gone to me, I too was also leaning towards Richard. He really started off strong, especially with bringing in his game show into his answer, what the survey says. I think this was easily Richard's question the entire time he was leaning. Chris, I really wish you'd have talked about. You kind of led a little bit into why Alex Trebek is one of the best hosts of anything, but that's the only thing you led into with Jeopardy. You have the iconic music, the music that they use in the NFL. You have super nerdy, super not nerdy. Actually taking that in, a lot of stuff, bringing in that music, and that music by itself, I felt like had you have brought that in, you would have had a lot better of a chance. But I definitely think this was Richard's point as well. Even though, Amaru, just like you, I believe in absolutely nothing Richard said. Unfortunately, it is all opinion based, so we cannot base our judgments off of that. So with that, it's time for post-match interviews. I'm going to go and start off with Chris. Chris, this was your first time competing in a TMG debate. The most important question, did you have fun?
Yeah, I was expecting when I don't want to have fun, and just give me an idea what to improve on for next time. I'd rather have fun than win unfairly or lose.
Definitely, and that's why we're all here, is just to have fun. We definitely want to win, but more importantly, we want to have fun. Are you looking forward? Are you looking to come back? Are you wanting to compete some more in late TV fights?
Yeah, it did definitely give me an idea of what to improve on, and I know how to question avoid and how to make better arguments. To figure out how to become better at this. And I'm looking for, a Danny mentor. I'm looking for some. But I just want to have fun. This is my first time in my second time in TNG, but this is the most fun I had so far.
Definitely, and that's always a good plus. And then the last question that I usually like to ask people: is there anyone that you've seen in late TV fights, or just anyone out there you want to call out, you want to take on for your second challenge to get your first win?
I'm not sure. I mean, I've been watching them, and everybody's fun. So anybody really take me up, I will. And who knows? Maybe I can inspire people to watch some of the shows that not a lot of people heard about, like Cricket.
All right, definitely. And I know whenever we get you back, it'll be another fun match. All right, moving on to the winner of this episode, or this fight, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Richard, how are you doing after that win?
It was really good. It was really tough. Chris is actually, for his first time competing, fantastic. I mean, I kind of envy Chris. My first match ever in this league was against Cody, and I got body whopped. So at least you were nicer than my original host who gave me Cody as my first. No, but Chris did a fantastic job. I'm just finally glad to get my first win on the board. I've always got down on myself when I kept losing, but I worked hard on this one. I worked probably the hardest I did on this game in particular. I was focused, and I hopefully just continue this winning streak and break even in the next match. And it was a lot of fun. Chris did an amazing job. I just, I usually take advantage of the fact that I read the question, I study how the question is worded, and that's how I focus on my arguments. And it paid out today.
Definitely. And I definitely feel your pain in having your first debate ever against Cody. I, too, had that great accomplishment in our sports brawl, which happens to be his favorite thing in the whole wide world. So I got my butt kicked, too. It's another thing we're partners with. But, I'm probably not going to have you face Jacoby anytime soon. So you're welcome for that, first off. But other than Jacoby, is there anyone else on the roster or anyone that you want to call out and say, hey, I want to take you on. I want to keep my winning streak going?
No, just anyone who wants to face me. I enjoy meeting different people, competing on people I've known, don't know. It's always a fun thing. Because the best thing about debating, even though we're arguing half the time at each other's throats, is getting to meet new people. That's the best part about these types of programs, is getting to explore and meeting other new people. Because that's what it's all about.
Definitely. I've had some of my newest best friends in this community, and that's what this is all about. Having fun, making friends. That's what we're here for. So with that, I have been your 18th favorite dad in the family community. Wait, what's that? Oh, I killed another person? Dang, COVID-19. You're sick. I'm actually your 17th favorite dad in the family community. Thank you for that. Papa West, Jacoby West. That has been Amaru, Alan, Richard, and Chris. Bid y'all adieu. Have fun. Do whatever you want to do. I'm not.